Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. To start off, since it's Friday, I have a joke/riddle for you. So, what has hands but can't clap? What has hands but can't clap? If you think you know the answer, go ahead and type in the comments below. I love to see what you guys think the answer might be, as well as share your own jokes. I love hearing your guys' jokes as well. You know that. All right. What has hands but can't clap? A clock. Because if you remember, a clock, if you look at the clock that we would have in our classroom, it has the hands to tell the minutes and the hours, but they can't clap. Alright, so that is our joke for today. We are going to be reading chapter 15 in Because of Winn-Dixie today. So go ahead and turn to page 98. And we're going to go ahead and get started with reading chapter 15. The Herman W. Block Memorial Library's air conditioning unit didn't work very good, and there was only one fan, and from the minute me and Winn-Dixie got in the library, he hogged it all. He lay right in front of it and wagged his tail and let it blow his fur all around. Some of his fur was pretty loose and blew right off of him like a dandelion puff. I worried about him hogging the fan, and I worried about the fan blowing him bald. But Miss Franny said not to worry about either thing, that Winn-Dixie could hog the fan if he wanted, and she had never in her life seen a dog made bald by a fan. Sometimes, when Miss Franny was telling a story, she would have a fit. They were small fits, and they didn't last long. But what happened was she would forget what she was saying. She would just stop and start to shake like a little leaf. And when that happened, Winn-Dixie would get up from the fan and sit right at Miss Franny Block's side. He would sit up tall, protecting her, with his ears standing up straight on his head, like soldiers. And when Miss Franny stopped shaking and started talking again, Winn-Dixie would lick her hand and lie back down in front of the fan. Whenever Miss Franny had one of her fits, it reminded me of Winn-Dixie in a thunderstorm. There were a lot of thunderstorms that summer, and I got real good at holding on to Winn-Dixie whenever they came. I held on to him and comforted him and whispered to him and rocked him just the same way he tried to comfort Miss Franny when she had her fits. Only I held on to Winn-Dixie for another reason too. I held on to him tight so he wouldn't run away. It all made me think about Gloria Dump. I wondered who comforted her when she heard those bottles knocking together, those ghosts chattering about the things she had done wrong. I wanted to comfort Gloria Dump, and I decided that the best way to do that would be to read her a book, read it to her loud enough to keep the ghosts away. And so I asked Miss Franny. I said, "Miss Franny, I've got a grown-up friend whose eyes are going on her, and I would like to read her a book out loud. Do you have any suggestions?" "Suggestions?" Miss Franny said. "Yes, ma'am, I have suggestions. Of course I have suggestions. How about Gone with the Wind?" "What's that about?" I asked her. "Why," said Miss Franny, "it's a wonderful story about the Civil War." "The Civil War?" I said. "Do not tell me you have never heard of the Civil War." Miss Franny Block looked like she was going to faint. She waved her hands in front of her face. "I know about the Civil War," I told her. "That was the war between the South and the North over slavery." "Slavery, yes," said Miss Franny. "It was also about states' rights and money. It was a terrible war. My great-grandfather fought in that war. He was just a boy. Your great-grandfather? Yes, ma'am, Litmus W. Block. Now there's a story. Winn-Dixie yawned real big and lay down on his side with a thump and a sigh. I swear he knew that phrase, now there's a story, and he knew it meant we weren't going anywhere real soon. Go ahead and tell it to me, Miss Franny, I said, and I sat down cross-legged next to Winn-Dixie. I pushed him, and he tried to get up to share the fan, but he pretended he was asleep, and he wouldn't move. I was all settled in and ready for a good story when the door banged and pinch-faced Amanda Wilkinson came in. Winn-Dixie sat up and stared at her. He tried out a smile on her, but she didn't smile back, and so he lay down again. I'm ready for another book, Amanda said, slamming her book down on Miss Franny's desk. Well, said Miss Franny, maybe you wouldn't mind waiting. I am telling India Opal a story about my great-grandfather. You are, of course, more than welcome to listen. It will be just 1 minute. Amanda sighed a real big dramatic sigh and stared past me. She pretended like she wasn't interested, but she was, I could tell. Come sit over here, said Miss Franny. I'll stand, thank you, said Amanda. Suit yourself, Miss Franny shrugged. Now where was I? Oh yes, Litmus. Litmus W. Block. All right. And that is the end of chapter 15 in Because of Winn-Dixie. We only have one vocabulary word for today to go with chapter 15. And the word is imitated. So it's the very last vocabulary word on our second page. So number 26. All right. So when we think of the word imitated or the word imitate, sometimes if someone might say, oh, he or she is imitating their older brother or sister, they're imitating a celebrity. Imitate means to take or follow as a model. Alright, so it means that maybe someone you look up to. So for example, say your mom or dad is someone you look up to and you want to imitate, which means to take or follow them as a model. So you want to do the same things that they do. Maybe your dad's job is something that fascinates you, so you like to go to work with your dad, or your mom is really good at cooking and you love to cook as well, so you try to model what she's doing or imitate the way she cooks. Alright, so this is the word imitate, and that is our only vocabulary word for today. We also, with our book, have just one more question to go with the questions for chapters 11 through 15. So that's question 8. Alright, so we've done the following 7 questions earlier this week to go with the other chapters. And number 8 is what goes with chapter 15. So it says, name 2 reasons that Opal holds tightly onto Winn-Dixie that summer. Alright, and it discussed in the chapter 2 reasons that Opal holds tightly onto Winn-Dixie that summer. Alright, if you have any questions about what you're supposed to do, remember, you can always message me and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Those questions are also due today, so as soon as you finish them, remember to just send them to me in the direct messages. What is also due today is your final copy of your writing assignment, alright? So remember, our writing assignment went with the chapter that we read yesterday. Remember, because Gloria had that mistake tree and she put bottles up there for every mistake that she made to remind her not to make that same mistake again. And you are supposed to have a total of 6 to 8 sentences. So you needed the topic sentence, which we said one example could be everyone makes mistakes and learns from them. And that tells your reader this is going to be about mistakes and how the writer learned from them. You're then going to have 2 sentences about a mistake you made. Remember to use detail, alright? So go back through your rough draft and make sure, do I have 2 sentences for it? And do I have enough detail that explains to my reader what is going on and they don't have any questions, alright? Remember, our goal is to try to have around 8 to 9 words per sentence. So if you only have 3 words in a sentence, I would say you would need more detail, all right? You next need 2 sentences about the lesson that you learned. So again, make sure those have detail. Make sure you have interesting words. See if you can substitute some words, like if you use the word hot, what are other words that you can use for hot that means the same thing? All right, make it more interesting and more at the 3rd grade level. And then your last sentence is your closing sentence, which we said another example you could use is, as you can see, it is important to learn from your mistakes. And all of the directions and the rules for this assignment is written in the post from yesterday. All right, so make sure you go back to that if you can find the directions. And again, if you have any questions, you can just message me about this as well. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you Monday.